Hey guys, week 4 reading is about this lovely little lion right here. And here he is in the furniture store bathroom where he used to live. And it says right at home, Christian hanging out in the furniture store bathroom. The Wild Life of Christian the Lion. Can a lion born in a cage ever learn to be free? By Todd Olson. Think and read. Text features. As you read, look for different kinds of text features. Think about what you learn from them. Remember, we talked about text features, which are like subheadings, bold print, italics. The way the font is formed is shown there. So think about those things. Okay. The lion cub had spent his whole life in a cage. He was born in a zoo. Then he was sold to a fancy store in London. England. The store has sold animals. So, guys, he was born in this at a zoo, and then he was sold to a furniture store, guys, to a fancy store. What do y'all think about that? That's kind of weird, right? That a zoo would sell an animal. So let's continue. It says it was December 1969. The poor cub was just in a cage for everyone to see. He was stuck between the kittens and the sheepdogs. It didn't seem like the lion would have a good life in the store. One day, two men named Ace and John came to the store. They saw the lion cub. They probably never thought they would buy a lion cub. The men had finished college. They were living and working in a furniture store. But after they got home, Ace and John kept thinking about the cub. They decided to put together all of their money. It was equal to 6,500 today. Then they went back to the store. They bought the little lion. They named him Christian. Now let's pause and think. What was Christian living? Where was Christian living when the men brought him? So make sure you go over here to this section, okay? It should tell you there. I know I'm giving you the answers, but this week doesn't count. Growing up. If you look this right here, growing up, that's a subheading, okay? That's what this little paragraph, next paragraph is going to be about, okay? Christian was a 30-pound ball of fluff when he moved in with the men. He felt at home in the furniture store. He hid behind chairs, then jumped out to play. He climbed on the men's laps while they talked on the phone. People came to the shop just to see the lion. By April, Christian was 130 pounds. He was strong. He was also gentle. But Ace and John knew he would grow up to be a 500-pound predator. We talked about that word in science like 3 weeks ago. He'd have sharp teeth and claws. In the wild, lions prowl in grasslands and forests. A shop in London wasn't the right place for Christian. But could he go? The men didn't know. They just knew they couldn't put the lion they loved back in the zoo. Let's pause and think. What problem will Christian the men need to solve? They need to solve problems. So go back into this paragraph this little paragraph that we read with the subheading growing up and look for the answer there. Surprise visitors. One day, two men came to the store. They were actors. They had starred in the movie called Born Free. The movie was a true story of a lion cub named Elsa. She was an orphan. She was saved by a couple named Joy and George. Let's pause right there just so we can look at the pictures. It says, Gulp, Christian uses a toilet as his water bowl. It doesn't seem to be the perfect height for a lion. Fast friends, Christian checked out London on a car ride with Ace and John. So they took him around everywhere, guys. So going back to this little cub named Elsa, it says they raised Elsa for years. Then they set her free in the wild. Ace and John wondered, could they do the same thing for Christian? The actors found George. He was still living in Kenya. That is a country in Africa where he had found Elsa. He said he would help set Christian free there. Now let's pause and think. What could George do for Christian? Think about it. What did they suggest for them to do? So what could he do? Going wild. About 8 months after Ace and John first brought Christian home, they took him to Kenya, but setting Christian free wasn't easy. If an animal is raised in a zoo or a home, It doesn't have the skills it needs to stay alive in the wild. Christian had never lived among lions. He had never hunted for food. How would he survive? But George had a plan. A small group of lions lived in his camp. George hoped Christian would become close with them. He hoped the lions would form his own pride or group. The group could then go into the wild together. Let's stop right there before we continue so we can look at the pictures. Here we have one of them playing, I guess. It says just playing. Christian loved kids and was always gentle. Oh, this is a kid. But Ace and John feared that as he grew, he could accidentally hurt someone. So he was afraid. So here he's playing with a kid, but they're afraid that he can hurt them. He hoped the lions would form his own pride or group. The group could then go to the wild together. At first, Christian wanted to stay with Ace and John, but he soon made friends with the other lions. Ace and John knew they could leave him. The goodbye was very sad for the men. As they drove away, Christian chased after their truck. This made leaving him even more difficult. So let's pause and think. What happened when Christian met George's uh, lion? What happened? Go back to this area. Together again. The next year, the men returned to Kenya to visit Christian. He was now 300 pounds. He was 6 feet long. Would he ever recognize them? Ace and John called out to Christian. When he heard the men's voice, he put his paws on Ace's shoulder. Then he reached over to John and pulled him in too. It was clear this wild creature was hugging the men. He remembered them. When it was time to say goodbye to Christian again, Ace and John cried. So, guys, this is very powerful. He remembered them. That's so cool. And here we see where he's walking up to them. And then, oh, there he is with this big hug. Sweet greetings. John and Ace's reunion with Christian was captured on film, and it is one of the most popular YouTube videos ever posted. And guess what, guys? I posted this video on Google Classroom so y'all could see it, okay? They knew they would always miss the lion, but as their plane took off, they saw Christian and his new family on top of a rocky hill. Christian was now free to prowl the wild just as he was meant to do, and he would never live in a cage again. Now let's pause and think. What did Christian do when he saw Ace and John? Go back and look at the picture. That should tell you what he did, okay? Think and write. So you're going to select the photo, and I don't think you're going to do this, but this would be great if you're really interested about it. Select the picture and write about it. Let's look at this little picture right here before I close. All grown up, full grown, Christian weighed nearly 500 pounds. He would soon lead a pride of his own and live free in the wild. So there he is, guys. I hope you enjoyed the story as much as I did. It's a really, really good story. Listen to this story as many times as you want it, okay? Have a good week.